Hi, I'm Luke Hindmarsh.
And I'm Damien Humphreys.
We are,
In Deep Crit.
and today in the Pit of Crit, we are looking at the question of dun 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 metagaming. I know, we should probably put an 18 certificate on this and all sorts of trigger warnings, because let's face it, is there a more divisive... Yeah, exactly. Danger, Will Robinson, if I'm allowed to say that. So, first of all, maybe defining what metagaming is. And we're not going to talk about meta as the big concept of self-referential within the genre and meta considerations. We're talking about the concept of metagaming very specifically in its narrowest sense, if it can be narrow, which is what?
What is it? Is it shooting? Is it, to an extent, it's playing the game in a way because you know you're playing a game and using the rules to gain an advantage, perhaps, or to not gain an advantage. Can there be good metagaming as well as bad metagaming? Is metagaming always bad? Is it always something that should be avoided?
Heresy, talking about it not being bad. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's possible to play without metagaming taking place.
No, because you are playing a game.
Yeah.
It's same as it's impossible to be sat in a theatre watching a play without knowing that you're sat in a theatre watching a play that is essentially make-believe, no matter how true those events may appear to be.
Yeah, or reading a book. I mean, So I remember the time I read a book, and it was the first time I'd ever read that I remember ever reading a book, and it broke me out, and I looked at it and was like, oh, I'm actually reading this story, which is a weird concept because, of course, I was reading. I've been reading for years before that point, and I was reading this particular. I'm not going to mention the author, but it was a book when it wasn't very well written, and that's what dragged me right out of it. It's not that I'd never been aware that I'd been reading before, but it wasn't like forefront in my mind. My wow, that's and I think that there's this suspension of awareness of the fact that you're playing a game that can take place when you're role playing. Immersion is how we probably refer to it. Certainly how and lots of people call it immersion. It's not like you're bathing in the setting.
You're completely absorbed by the story and the story that you're telling together, and the events that your character is undergoing.
And then record breaks and someone metagames. It's not always like that, though.
Is it metagaming with my second, third level character? A troll appears out of the mist, and I'm a wizard, and I immediately start throwing firebolt at it, because I know that it's going to be damaged by fire. Is that metagaming? Do I know that as a player, but my character doesn't know that?
So, the troll example was one that really bugs me because I live in a world where, although I live in Denmark, nonetheless, there are, sorry to break this to you guys, there are no known trolls existing in the world we actually live in, nor have there ever been, as far as I know. I mean, I could be wrong, but we have legends about them, and they're not always the same, but certainly there's things that we know about trolls, like vampires. Again, sorry to break it to you, but there's so much folklore about non-existent things. There's plenty of knowledge about real animals, both animals that are I have the internet available to me, so I can know about animals in countries that I've never visited nor ever going to visit. Brackets drop bears, Australia. If you live in the world, you know about it.
Yeah.
So the idea that a character is always, it's like, if I'm like, really, dude, my character who's spent how many years of his life in a place, or her life in a place, or their life in a place where trolls are known about, doesn't know. Okay, I regard that as meta by the DM who just doesn't want to let the players have an easy time of a troll encounter.
Yeah.
Rant over.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you may have a setting where trolls are incredibly rare.
Yeah,
they may not be the norm. In most, and I guess we're talking about most fantasy settings, particularly D&D, most D&D settings, core settings, trolls are a thing, right? They exist. people are going to know about them. You're going to be, don't taught as a kid, don't go wandering off into the swamps because the troll's going to eat you. Oh, mummy, what's a troll? Well, it's this big, green, scaly, horrible, brutish thing that can only be killed with fire. There you go. I now know.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, so no spoiler, I've run Adventures in Middle Earth, not with you, but like as a 5th edition thing for some friends, and within that they had encountered a troll. And one of them wanted to set fire to it. And it's like, no, this is Middle Earth. No, this isn't. The folklore of Middle Earth, trolls aren't like, you don't need to worry about them and fire and regenerating. They're just really strong and really tough. And some of them, the legend is, turn to stone in sunlight. Not all of them. It depends on what troll it is, whether Sauron's messed with them or not. But if you're bringing, because we happen to be playing an adaptation of 5e, Adventures in Middle Earth is the One Ring as it used to be for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. That doesn't mean you apply your Dungeons and Dragons ideas to Middle Earth, because to
the folklore, exactly.
Yes, because that is an example of meta gone wrong. And I'd be like, no, you don't know that trolls burn, because they don't.
But most things are going to be hurt by fire, right?
Or frightened by it.
Most animals, most creatures, almost everything is going to be hurt by fire. I think maybe the metagaming side of that, and we just spoke about this, might be because I know that a certain creature is resistant or immune to fire, I then don't use fire. If I've been the wizard that uses fireball, firebolt, flame arrow all the time, scorching ray all the time, those are my go-to spells, and suddenly I'm faced with a red slard or something, or a red dragon, and I'm like, oh no, I'm suddenly going to use, Cone of Cold.
So, with the red dragon, once it's breathed fire at you, I would say it's perfectly reasonable. Again, and maybe that's one of the folklore things. But the red slard, the likelihood of that being folklore depends on the setting.
Yeah.
I regard it as, so let's look at the troll situation and just not leave that for just one second. Being the wizard player or whatever, who's got Flame Bolt but refuses to use it against the troll because that would be meta, is in itself bad metagaming.
That is bad metagaming, absolutely. Yeah. Because that's a go-to cantrip as well to start off with. Why would you not be using it?
A different example of metagaming might be the situation where, hey, we're all in a group, so we're playing a situation where there's going to be some social interaction, and the question comes up: who should speak about this particular issue? Oh, I've got the highest charisma score.
Well, my charisma is 16. What's yours?
Oh, I'm sorry. My charisma in real life is only 4. So, so I'm sorry. Or maybe I'm bigging myself up too much there. But
a little bit.
Yes, a little bit. Thanks. But so then, you should definitely do the talking because you're the charisma. But like, why? It's like, we're in a setting where we encounter a whole load of gnomes, and you're the gnome. Okay, the fact that your charisma is only 5 in game does not mean that you shouldn't be the gnome to do the talking, and the rest of us who are like, I don't know, elves or.
Yeah.
I mean, I can be a very charismatic elf, but not like anything that's not an elf. If I want to play that kind of character, choosing who does what. You're
trying to negotiate with a local priesthood. Then it would be the cleric who would be having that, or the paladin who would be having that conversation, not necessarily the bard with 20 charisma.
No.
It would, so that, there's definitely metagaming around that kind of thing. But also, I think you can do that positively.
Yes.
By including other players. So I like role playing. I like getting involved. I like having a character, and I like having my character kind of involved in every situation possible. I can be quite full on at the table, I think. And I can, if other people aren't getting involved, I will get involved, and I will speak, and I will, role play. But also, I can allow other people to have their moment. And I think we both do that. Because I think also, we both like to role play, and we play in one game together where we do an awful lot of the talking. I think.
Surprise.
Between the two of us.
We do. So I'm aware of you doing. I try and do it, and I'm aware of you doing it. Where we're trying to invite the others to take part, whether or not they are the best suited to the task at hand. So inviting someone to play to their strengths is one thing, but inviting someone just to be involved or just allowing them to be involved and fail is also important for role playing. From my view of it,
but it's okay to be aware of the other people in your party's abilities and their strengths and weaknesses.
Particularly if you've been a group for a while.
Yeah, and to say, actually, you cleric, this is your forte, this is your area, this is where you can get involved. What do you think about this situation?
Yeah. It's the locked door where the thief or rogue is out unconscious and you haven't got anyone to unpick it. So you're going to have to break the door down, and the wizard rolls up their sleeves and comes to set their shoulder to it, and it's like, okay. Barbarians just like, okay, purity. Moves them out of the way. Okay, you don't need to talk about stats. It can all be in game.
Yeah.
So that could be the bad side of metagaming. I think, and you've also touched on how it could be the good side of metagaming. But what about the situations? So let's use the classic. You've used this as an example, so I'm going to quote it back to you. The thief stealing from their own party, which is bad. I think it's where we've talked about role playing. What's good role playing? We mentioned because my character would do that. Where we have that, you have that player stealing from the party, and the lawful good.
Yes,
the paladin who is.
So the scumbag thief and the goody two shoes paladin situation. And there's various examples of that, but this is kind of a go-to, I guess. So first of all, have I as a DM set that up so that is something that seems right within the party setting? Have I said to that thief's character, are you sure you want to do this? That thief's player, are you sure you want to do this? Where are you hiding everything? Are you prepared to accept the consequences if and when you're found out? The flip side of that is the paladin's player knows that the thief is stealing, but the character, the paladin themselves, have not noticed that. But then the paladin's player gets the character to act as if they do know. For no reason, searching the thief's stuff. Or saying, I follow him really closely and I watch everything he's doing. That's poor. That's bad metagaming. That's poor play.
Yes, built upon a bit of poor role playing.
Yeah, I think that's
poor DMing.
I think that's poor DMing. And I think the DM has a lot of responsibility and a lot of the responsibility for how metagaming is used within the game, whether it's what's allowed and what isn't, and
what should be allowed to develop as a pressure to metagame. Because in that situation, my sympathies are with the paladin's player.
Yeah.
Although I'm the kind of GM who sets up, as you well know, so we've mentioned before, I set up potential conflicts within parties. Yeah. I encourage there to be friction that needs to be overcome. But I always say to a player in the session 0 or whatever, the intent is, whilst you've got this secret or you've got this agenda or you've got this motivation or whatever that you may have developed or we may have developed together, it's how you resolve that as part of the group without completely destroying the group. And if you do decide to destroy the group, my go-to solution is we'll play it out and then your character becomes an NPC.
Yeah.
And so that's known in advance, and then...
And if you do that as a player often enough, you'll find yourself without a group to play with.
Yeah, because no one will want to play with you.
I wouldn't want to run a game for you if that's the way you always play. I'll be like, sorry, I don't want you at my table.
If you're the thief who steals from the rest of the party and is like, I'm sorry, I just can't help myself. Here's the stuff I've taken back. I do it. I'm really sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You've got some nice trinkets. I'm like a magpie. I cannot help but pick this stuff up. Ooh, I'm just practicing my technique. You've caught me at it. There you go. You can have your stuff back. And so every now and again, the rest of the party knows, hang on, this has gone missing. And they take to your character and shake you up. Like Tasselhoff from...
Yeah, absolutely.
There, you get to play the thief who steals from his own party with... And maybe it's slightly irritating, but it can become amusing. It can become a character trait. Sorry, you're my friends. I don't mean to steal from you. I just can't help myself.
Exactly.
You know,
I just found it lying around, or if you wanted it that badly, why did you leave it in one of your pockets?
You appear to have dropped your spell book. Here you are, and they're like, where's my spell book? Oh, you appear to have dropped it. So the second something has gone missing, you immediately fess up, and that's very different. But the metagaming thing, so. Is it the end of the world if the paladin players? That's like, no, but the end of the world's occurred where that situation has arisen in the first place.
It's been allowed to arise. Yeah.
I think metagaming where, so using your Icewind Dale campaign, I'm going to pat myself on the head for my good metagaming, because I made a decision that I'm sort of a face player as the warlock, and not the only person who could do that role perhaps in the party, but I'm certainly doing a lot of the talking. Only person, but again, I'm aware for a change. Yeah. But I've got a familiar. Yeah, I know. I'm an easy target. I've got a familiar who can scout ahead, and I was going to take Voice of the Chain Master, I think it's called, which is a Eldritch. What's it called? The Eldritch Invocation. Thank you. Which allows you to basically see anywhere on the same plane of existence, and you've got a limitless range on this thing, which could be very boring. Okay, you as DM would deal with that, but as a DM, you also would be not metagaming and just wiping out my ability that I've taken, which we'll get onto DM metagaming in a second, or GM metagaming in a second. But I made the decision not to take that invocation because I was already taking up plenty of time. And I wanted not to have another ability that would put me into the forefront. Now, that was a meta decision, but it was a meta decision for the good of everyone else and the group as a whole. Oh, little halo over my head. That has to make up for the horns that are normally there. But I only have fun role-playing when everyone else I feel is having fun. If I think it's all about me, I'm bored.
And that's it. So rule 0 or whatever rule number you want to call it, is everybody having fun?
Yes.
Not am I having fun? Are we having fun?
Yeah. And if metagaming serves that, it's not bad metagaming.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a games master. I'm a dungeon master. So I metagame all the time, right? I have to metagame. Or do I have to never metagame?
Well, there's a trick, isn't there? Because isn't there good metagaming, necessary metagaming as a DM and GM, and then unnecessary or bad? So they're not necessarily the same thing. It could be unnecessary and it can be bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it can be bad and necessary. Probably not, but it can be. Maybe.
So I need to balance encounters, right? I need to know the abilities of the party, because even if I'm using a published module, I need to know where to set those encounters, what difficulty level to set those encounters at. I need to know if the party is possibly more equipped to deal with this encounter, so make it easier, or less equipped, making it a harder fight, and whether I want that to be a hard fight, whether I want, as a games master, I don't want every fight to be easy. I don't want every fight to be an almost TPK. There needs to be some balance. There needs to be easy encounters, really finely balanced knife edge encounters, or oh dear,
run away, brave Sir Robin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, asymmetrical combat. At times. But to do that,
and do I attack the party's weaknesses? Do I attack the party's strengths? Which particular area am I challenging my players on in this encounter? So I need to know their abilities. So there is a level of metagaming to that, because I need to sometimes actually sit down with books and the character sheets and work out action economy, hit points, saving throws, all those kind of things to work out, mathematically sit and work out an encounter, which I have done on many occasions. And sometimes I wing it and go, well, probably throw in another 2d8's worth of kobolds into that encounter to make it a bit more tricky. So there is that element of metagaming. I would say the bad side of Games Master metagaming is, this player's just got a new ability. How do I nerf that?
That's one example, certainly.
This character's really good at sneaking. How do I make them no longer good at sneaking? This character's got. Oh no, my Artificer Armourer has got AC of 26. How do I make sure that every fight I'm taking him out of the fight? It's like, actually, you don't.
Yeah.
Is the answer to that, because that's bad metagaming.
So, knowing that you've got a character with a strength, you may want to do good metagaming to occasionally challenge them on that. But it's bad if you're always looking at how to screw over your players, basically.
Yeah.
I would say, so I'm much more prone to be, I don't do the level of, so I do a lot of prep, but I don't do the level of careful balancing of encounters, because I don't care. It's like, if this is a really challenging encounter, you better run away. If it's not, but then again, I don't often, I don't really run Dungeons and Dragons. I run systems where they're deliberately more sort of like lethal. And I always say to the players, this, your chances of survival in this game are pretty low, so play accordingly. And if you want to charge in, if you want to solve every solution with a gun or a sword or whatever, we better roll up another character now, just in case, because it's going to happen very soon. But at the same time, I'm not unaware of the character's abilities, and it's not that I never take those into account. Yeah. And I think that it's important to sometimes. So I'd like to do it to give a player a feeling of a win. So say like I was DMing Dungeons and Dragons, and you just got your barbarian or your bard maybe, and you just got cutting words or whatever. I would want to build in an encounter to give you a chance to win with your new ability, but not do it too obviously. But I would much rather be the kind of DM who, let's take the sneaking example as well. Yeah. There's a reason. You're the thief or the rogue who can sneak ahead and find everything in this situation, and the dungeon is therefore got no surprises for the rest of your party. Well, I would always want to have other threats in a dungeon so they weren't linear. Traps, wandering monsters coming from behind, or people leaving. Are you leaving tracks? Is there someone that you've annoyed? Is there another threat to the party?
Does the big bad in the dungeon have scrying abilities?
Yes.
Are there areas, anti-magic areas, or are there areas that are full of magic that are warded with like a Nistful's magic aura to disguise the magic?
But not done just to punish the players.
No.
But just because. Yeah. I mean, it's balancing again, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think this is what it boils down to. Bad metagaming as a games master is punishing a player for having abilities baked into their character that are perfectly within the rules and within the build of that character. If a player has made their character to be specifically good at one thing, to punish them for being good at that one thing is horrible, horrible games mastering. And, you should hand in your games master's license immediately.
Yeah.
Because that attacking it every now and again, challenging it every now and again, giving them obstacles to overcome with that strength is good games mastering. Trying to nerf it and take it out of the game altogether is just horrible games mastering. If I experienced that at a table, I would have words to say to that games master after the game.
If it's deliberate.
If it's deliberate and constant, and so
there was
the Artificer with 26 AC.
Yeah.
If I'm constantly getting them to make wisdom saving throws, then I'm not allowing them to use the ability they've built into that, because they've built a character that is a frontline tank that is there to absorb a hell of a lot of hits without taking any damage.
So, just doing a non-D&D example, just for balance, I play as a player in a cyberpunk campaign, and I play as a net runner, and my net running ability is pretty good. It's not the very top it could be, but it's not far off it. And so sometimes networks can be. So there's an issue with, we've swapped over from 2020 to the Cyberpunk Red starter thing, and then to the full rules. And so there's been a progression in how those rules change the difficulty values for the netrunner. But the GM there, who's very experienced, really good GM, he makes sure that there are times when like a cakewalk for my Netrunner. It's like, okay, we're in a fight and I'm not able to physically engage, but I can set fire to people's agents in their pockets to distract them, and it's hardly a challenge. And there are times when it's like, well, this is a really big, difficult setup where your skills are going to be tested to the limit. He very rarely does anything. It's all about trying to create a living, breathing world, which will naturally have its different highs and lows, and yet at the same time have a balance of allowing me to shine, and times where my solution is going to be the harder way to solve a problem if I want to. So, and that may be a good way of doing it. So it's like, sneaking can't always be the solution with the rogue. It can't always, or their high AC is not always going to be a solution to every problem. And so naturally there are going to be problems that arise. And if you're the kind of DM or GM who's only ever creating, so going back to the cyberpunk, only ever creating net running problems, and nothing else can ever be solved without going into the computer in the setting, then inevitably when you get a netrunner who's got their ability very high, or whatever the skill is, whatever the setting is, you have built that box for yourself, and you suddenly trying to break out of that cage by attacking the player's abilities or character's abilities because you've not done a good job. That is bad metagaming. But having a very broad world where your high AC isn't always going to matter, because this is about, there's a trap with the ceiling dropping down, and how does AC help in this situation? You're still going to be crushed dead underneath this, maybe or maybe not. I mean,
or there's a flock of harpies that you have to make those saving throws on. I do like harpies. I do like harpies.
God, there's still so many jokes I could make about that. Mostly it'll just be going, you and harpies.
Another thing of good games master, dungeon master metagaming. We just did our video on druids. The druid, the land stride ability or whatever it is with the druid, where difficult terrain, non-magical difficult terrain is no longer difficult terrain for a druid. A good example of that would be to build in an encounter that has difficult terrain in it, so that druid who's just got that ability can be like, oh look, this is fine for me. I'm moving about all over the place. I have full maneuverability within the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giving them a win on that ability.
Yeah. I've just had a thought, thinking of you and Icewind Dale and telepathy, because we have a character who's got telepathy. And we had a situation where the character had read the mind of an NPC, and then the NPC reacted badly to it. And that could have been bad DM metagaming on your part, except for the fact that the character said, it's okay, I've read that, they said out loud. Yeah. And that made, so where you didn't metagame at all there, because it was, and it was, I'm not criticizing the player, that it was cool, and also it was a long end of a long session, and but where a DM allows an NPC to act like our good paladin who's being stolen from but doesn't know they're being stolen from, but still the players. DMs can sometimes fall into the trap of having an NPC act on knowledge that NPC could never flaming well have. That's really bad. Yeah. And I've seen plenty of DMs. I've possibly been guilty of it myself in the past. I hope I don't do it anymore. But certainly that arises. Yeah. It isn't like the situation I've just. If that character had been like very clearly, I'm doing everything in my mind and there's no tells. Yeah. Or we've got this little signal, which is when I tap my shoulder, that means everything's okay. If I tap my other shoulder, it means it's not okay, or whatever. Or I scratch my head. If your NPC picks up on that and then manages to work out that means that they've been having their mind read, that would be bad. Yeah. You didn't do that. No. But you see what I'm saying? I'm trying to take a thing where it was fine and then make it bad, so that gives an example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think ultimately, is it cheating? I think this is what we're talking about, right? Is cheating, in a way, or taking away the fun.
I mean, from one perspective, having a build on a character, making a character fit to solve certain problems is kind of meta, instead of just having a character who... So, we're playing a game, it's got to have some metagaming, because it's got rules, and I think that there's no cheating in a role-playing game. I mean, okay, you can fudge the dice as the DM, that's a different video, I've got my views on that. I think we both are quite on the same page on that, which... Yeah. Anyway. And it's like a player who always comes in I used to play who had always had like rolled 18 back when we were doing second edition. It'd always come in with the character who at least had like 218 characteristics. Oh, I pre-rolled this. Oh, did you? What dice did you use? That is not. That's cheating.
That's cheating.
But and metagaming can be trying to win at role playing.
Yeah.
Or trying not to lose at role playing. I don't really see it as cheating, but it is potentially breaking some role playing, breaking the immersion.
Breaking the immersion, yeah, absolutely. And I think, when it comes to knowing your party's abilities, there is an extent of metagaming. When a party levels up, we discuss what abilities we're taking, what subclasses we're taking, synergies within that. I'm playing in a game where myself and another player are playing brother and sister. He's a wizard, I'm a bard. What spells are you taking? And we've also got a paladin in the party, so it's, if you're taking Cure Wounds, then do I need to take Cure Wounds as well? That's metagaming, right? That is, by very definition, metagaming. Is it bad metagaming? Not necessarily, because why would we want to double up on resources?
It depends on the so it depends on the setting you're playing, the system you're using, the kind of game it is, the tone. So playing a character from another source in a game is kind of metagaming in some ways. This could be a big other topic, and we're going to make this video really long. I don't personally like someone to say, "Oh, I want to be that character from that TV show or that other, or that online role-playing thing that I've watched and have it in my campaign." I'd be like, "You're not doing it."
Oh, we're playing Icewind Dale. Can I be a drow elf ranger using 2 scimitars, please?
I wouldn't do it as a player. Whether it's bad or not, it all comes back to having fun. And I think that's the definition of, is metagaming bad? Well, does it affect everyone's fun negatively? If yes, it's bad. It doesn't matter what your justification is.
Yeah.
If you're affecting people's fun negatively by enforcing rules on metagaming, which are themselves quite metagamey, but okay, like the troll and you can't know about the fire, and you're robbing players with fun, it doesn't matter that you're metagaming because you're breaking a more fundamental rule. Have fun. Everyone have fun. So
Rule 0 and what's become known as Wheaton's rule, which is, don't be a word I'm not going to use on the channel, but don't be an idiot. Don't set out to cause problems.
Don't be an annoyance for other players and ruin their fun. Don't be a...
And so, I guess another side of that, we don't want to make this video too long, but, the people who blurt out what other players should be doing, it's absolutely okay to help a new player or to help somebody who's playing a class they haven't played before to understand their abilities, and to, particularly if they say, what should I do here? Which spell would be best to use in this situation? That kind of thing. It's okay to do that, but to constantly blurt out, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that," you're taking away that other player's agency and their fun of the game. And also acting on information there's no way your character could know. So one character has had a conversation in a bar and discovered that this guy is the bad guy. The other character is currently somewhere else having dinner with that NPC, and goes, "Oh, I attack him." That's an extreme example, but there's no way now that you're sat with the bad guy.
The player who's gone ahead climbs through that funny-looking mouth on the wall, and their player is told that they are annihilated and there's nothing left of them. So you round the tunnel, and it seems to be the only way through. And you would assume probably that the other character had gone through that nice open hole. So you then go, "Oh, I'll climb through it," as opposed to being, "But I know it would kill him, so I'm not going to do that." I mean,
or you meet a really charming, well-dressed, well-spoken nobleman in a bar in Barovia who introduces himself as the Count Strad von Zarevich. Okay, we're playing a module called Curse of Strahd. I know I've played Ravenloft and all the old editions. Damien knows who Strahd is. My character does not.
No.
You know, at that first point, at that first meeting. Does not
Yeah.
necessarily. Unless
you might do from previous encounters, in which case fine. But if you have no way of knowing apart from player knowledge, yes. I mean, if all the locals are drawing back in fear from this guy, then maybe you can draw a conclusion over that. And then bad metagaming would be to say, well, I'm going to just have a drink with the guy because I don't care that everyone around me is reacting like he's dangerous. I don't know. So that's the flip side.
Yeah,
but it's a very.
But if there's no other indications, whipping out a wooden stake and driving it through his heart immediately, it's metagaming.
But it's what my character would do.
Yeah, because that's what it is to everybody, right? I mean, a wooden stake through the heart will kill most people, to be fair.
Yes.
Yes. I mean,
so we've taken a while to come round to the point that metagaming is neither good nor bad. It depends on how you're doing it, and is it ruining the fun for everyone else? Yeah. Is it breaking immersion and so ruining the fun? Is it helping smooth gameplay and so actually it's helping fun?
Yeah.
There's no fixed point on this, and if you think that there's a fixed point on it, I would say that you're wrong. And I don't often say that. I would be pretty 99.9% sure that that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, I think metagaming is all grey area. Pretty much. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you disagree? Are we wrong? Is there very much black and white? This is always metagaming and always bad, or this is always metagaming and always good. Comment. Leave a comment. Tell us where we're wrong, or give us some examples of metagaming that you've experienced that have really helped a game, or completely derailed a campaign.
Are there specific examples you'd like us to comment on and maybe do a video on?
Yeah.
Or a different topic? We're carrying on with these, more
if there's something else you want us to cover in these figure and crit out videos, then leave a comment and ask us our opinion on a certain aspect of not just Dungeons and Dragons, any tabletop role playing game, any aspect of the role playing side of role playing, right?
One thing you'll have been sure to have noted by now, we'll certainly have an opinion on it. And on that note, I say, fare thee well.
Cheerio, bye-bye.